Despite decades of debate, denial, and dubious behavior on the part of the tobacco industry regarding the potential dangers of cigarettes, it's now generally agreed upon that smoking is bad for your health. Smoking damages nearly every organ in the body, causing strokes, coronary heart disease, respiratory diseases, a whole slew of cancers, and other deleterious effects. And while Big Tobacco has done its best to feign ignorance since the 40s, we now know the answer to "is smoking bad for you?" is a resounding yes. But a less hotly debated question remains. Is smoking vegan? Hi, it's Emily from Bite Size Vegan, and welcome to another Vegan Nugget. While being vegan is often associated with a level of health fanaticism approaching daily wheatgrass juice enemas and coffee colonics, the truth is not everyone goes vegan for their health. There are junk food vegans, vegans who drink alcohol, and yes, even vegans who smoke. And I mean tobacco, not the other thing everyone assumes all vegans smoke. But can cigarettes be considered vegan? As usual, the answer to this question is more complex than it would first appear. I'm going to touch on the various areas of concern, but please refer to the blog post for this video for citations and more detailed information. The main areas of concern we'll be addressing are animal ingredients in cigarettes, animals killed in the farming process, animal testing, the environmental impact, secondhand smoke in companion animals, child labor and work toxicity exposure, and of course, a nod to health. The most basic measure of whether something is vegan or not is whether it contains animals or their byproducts. When we combine the myriad of ways we disguise animal byproducts with the close to 600 ingredients found in cigarettes, including arsenic, formaldehyde, lead, ammonia, acetone, and other far less pronounceable elements, it becomes rather difficult to ascertain if anything is animal-derived. This issue was brought to a very public head back in 2010 when a press release, light on the facts but big on the sensation, claimed that cigarettes may contain pig's blood. This revelation came from artist Christine Mindertsma's 3-year-long project entitled Pig 05049, which tracked and documented all of the ways one pig's body was used post-slaughter, including cigarette filters. Anti-smoking advocate Professor Simon Chapman of the University of Sydney saw this as an opportunity to use public outrage, particularly among Jewish, Muslim, vegetarian, and vegan populations, to bring to light concerns that ingredients such as additives or processing aids used in tobacco products are virtually unregulated and non-transparent. After creating the press release, the story went viral and built into quite a frenzy, with the Iranian officials calling it a Zionist conspiracy and tobacco companies churning out denials left and right. The truth of the matter is far less titillating. In 1997, a Greek tobacco company set out to create a healthier cigarette using pig's blood in the filter to mitigate toxins. The resulting biofilter led the company to second place in the Greek tobacco industry. Though every scientific study to evaluate these claims found them to be patently false, and in 2002, Greece finally outlawed their healthier smoking claims, as far as I can tell, the filters are still on the market, and I have a link on the blog post to the company's website with more information. There are also at least 2 other animal-derived ingredients in cigarettes, which are far more regularly employed: beeswax and castoreum. Beeswax is rather self-explanatory, and you can see my video here on the veganness of bee products for more information. Castoreum, used in cigarettes to lend a sweet, smoky flavor, is another matter entirely. I covered the glories of castoreum in one of my very first vegan nuggets ever on what's really in your food, back when both my editing skills and language were a little less polished.
Have you ever wondered where artificial raspberry, vanilla, or strawberry flavors come from? Castoreum! An extract made from dried, ground-up sacs located by the anal glands of beavers. Yes, we're talking about pouches in the ass of a beaver. It can be added to foods such as gums, alcohol, candy, and baked goods. Perhaps tossing a beaver's salad does give you a nice little vanilla flavor, but does that really make it right?
I've come a long way. Castoreum is harvested by killing beavers and cutting out their castor glands, making it a most definitively un-vegan ingredient. So when it comes to animals in your smokes, bees and beaver butts are far more likely than pig's blood, but just as un-vegan. Now I'll just speak very briefly to the concern of animals killed during tobacco farming and harvesting. While we should strive for pesticide-free, sustainable farming, with any crop, field animals are going to be unintentionally harmed and killed in the farming and harvesting process. We have to eat, but we don't have to smoke. so the animals killed by tobacco farming are entirely avoidable deaths. And now to the heavy hitter of the vegan cigarette debate: animal testing. I have a 4-part video series on animal testing which goes into greater detail about the inefficacy of animal tests, why we are still conducting them, how they endanger and even kill humans, and what viable alternatives exist, which I've linked up here and below if you want to delve deeper into this matter. Perhaps the most insane aspect of animal testing as a whole is its complete and utter lack of credible results. It's no secret that our bodies differ greatly from other species, and so it follows would our reactions to stimuli and toxins. In regards to tobacco specifically, Dr. C. Ray Greek of Americas for Medical Advancement states that animal experiments failed notoriously to demonstrate a smoking cancer connection for over half a century. If the greatest killer of our time was promoted by physicians based on animal experiments, there's obviously something terminally wrong with the system. A 2015 paper drawing on more than 50 recent toxicology studies demonstrated the superiority of widely available modern non-animal models over inaccurate animal tests for measuring the toxicity of tobacco products. In 2012, the US Congress even stated that there is significant scientific evidence that animals are poor models for the testing of tobacco products used by humans. Unlike all medications, tobacco products are not required to undergo animal testing. The UK, Germany, Belgium, and other countries even banned their usage, and Canada requires only in vitro studies, meaning on a cellular level rather than on a whole living animal. Even the tobacco industry's own studies have concluded that in vitro toxicology tests can be successfully used both for better understanding the biological activity of cigarette smoke and for guiding the development of cigarettes with reduced toxicity. Despite this fact, tobacco companies, government agencies, the American Cancer Society, National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, among other organizations, and yes, even anti-smoking groups, continue to test cigarettes on animals. On this video's blog post, I have links to several articles and studies which catalog, describe, and demonstrate the myriad of horrifying animal tobacco tests, but I'm going to share just a few of them with you. Perhaps the most visually shocking type of tobacco tests are the direct smoking tests, made famous in 1975 by undercover Sunday People reporter Mary Beath in her expose known as The Smoking Beagles. Beath got a position in an Imperial Chemical Industries laboratory where 48 beagles were restrained with straitjackets, placed into what Beath described as medieval stocks, and fitted with tubed masks which forcibly pumped cigarette smoke into their lungs day in and day out for up to 3 years for some of the dogs. Beath reported that when they have finished their smoking stint, the dogs are killed and sent to pathology laboratories to be cut up and examined for signs of cancer, liver or heart disease, or other possible effects. Some of the dogs have acquired a smoker's cough, judging from the sounds I heard. The images Beath captured sparked global outrage, yet only 2 of the 48 beagles were rescued in a technically illegal act of liberation by activist Mike Huskisson and an unnamed partner in the early days of the Animal Liberation Front. While not garnering the same level of disgust from the public, direct smoking tests on mice and rats are just as horrifying. Their entire bodies are crammed into tiny canisters that pump smoke directly into their noses for 6 or more hours a day for up to 2 years. Direct smoking tests can also involve tracheotomies. In a 2001 study at the Oregon National Primate Research Center involving 67 pregnant rhesus macaque monkeys, half of the monkeys had tubes surgically implanted in order to subject them to a continuous flow of nicotine for the last 4 months of their pregnancies. 5 days before the mothers reached full term, the experimenters cut out, killed, and dissected the fetuses of all 67 mothers. These kind of experiments are still being carried out on mice, rats, beagles, monkeys, apes, and other sentient beings. They are not required by law, have no scientific validity, and they even endanger humans with the cross-species application of their results. And they're all for a product that is not only completely unnecessary, but also deadly to consumers and damaging to the environment. Speaking to the environmental impact of smoking, around 5.6 trillion cigarette butts are dumped into the environment every year. When these butts land in water or on soil, all of the chemicals and carcinogenic ingredients we discussed creates leachates, a toxic soup that poisons fish and other wildlife. Of course, smoking also affects one's home environment as well. A series of studies at Tufts University and Colorado State University found that secondhand smoke is just as harmful to companion animals as it is humans. Cats living with smokers are twice as likely to develop malignant lymphoma, and dogs living with smokers develop cancers of the nose and sinus area, all of which are terminal within a year. And then there's the human cost of tobacco farming. Green tobacco sickness is caused by the constant exposure of workers to the nicotine of the plants, which is absorbed through their skin. This is exacerbated in the case of child workers, and child labor is a major issue within America's tobacco farming. While several countries, including major tobacco producers such as Brazil and India, prohibit children under 18 from working on tobacco farms, in the United States, children as young as 12 work in the fields for 50 to 60 hours a week in extreme heat and with ongoing exposure to pesticides and nicotine. And of course, there are the health consequences, which may or may not even be an inherently vegan issue, and which is thoroughly documented elsewhere. If you are a smoker and want to stop for any reason, please see the blog post for this video where I've included a list of resources to support you in quitting. I hope this video has been helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think smoking can be considered vegan? If you were a smoker who went vegan, did you quit? Are you a non-vegan smoker wanting to go vegan but overwhelmed that now you have to ditch the cigarettes too? Well, if that's the case, personally I'd say focus on the meat, dairy, eggs, and honey first, and then tackle big tobacco. The time it took to produce this video clocks in at around. If you'd like to help support Bite Size Vegan so I can keep putting in the hours to bring you this educational resource, please check out either of the support links in the video description below, where you can give a one-time donation or receive perks and rewards for your support by joining the Nugget Army. The link for that is also in the sidebar. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it around to help inform others. If you're new here, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down there for more awesome vegan content every Monday, Wednesday, and some Fridays. Now go live vegan, just say no, and I'll see you soon.
In a repeated national survey, doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" Once again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Why not change to Camels for the next 30 days and see what a difference it makes in your smoking enjoyment? See how Camels agree with your throat. See how mild and good tasting a cigarette can be.